The Summer Olympics, currently taking place in Brazil, are naturally attracting worldwide attention. Notably, female Muslim athletes are taking part wearing the traditional hijab. There are special challenges inherent in both the extra physical effort needed and the diverse public's reactions we've seen. Joining me right now is Solmaz Sharif, co-founder of Shirzanan, a media and advocacy platform for and about Muslim females in sports. That's great. Solmaz, welcome to State of Belief Radio.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Is the number of Muslim female athletes in this year's Summer Olympics higher than in past years, or are we just getting more focus on it?
No, it is higher because last Olympic, 2012 in London, was the first Olympic that all participating countries, including Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Brunei, had female participants in. And that was partially because of IOC's mandatory rules that all the participant countries, they had to bring a female athletes with them. So last Olympic, and the three countries of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Brunei were the last countries to have female athletes on their team.
I'm curious, was that a welcome decision on the part of those who do the Olympics, or was that a controversial decision?
Was partial controversial because, of course, Saudi Arabia or any of these three countries wouldn't want to do that. If they were welcoming the idea, they would do it in the past. Mm-hmm. But because it was part of IOC's mandate, there were pressure on IOC and any other international sports organizations that you should inform, you should basically express on your mandate and thus create equal opportunities for genders from any participant country.
So let's talk about the athletes who are participating. Do you know what percentage of them are wearing the hijab or other religious-oriented clothing?
We haven't conducted a formal research on that, so I don't have exact number, but I could just say perhaps 40% wear hijab.
That's pretty high, isn't it?
For comparing the countries, so there are two scenarios in female Muslim female athletes. Mm-hmm. One is the countries that don't enforce hijab, and participant athletes, they choose themselves. And that's from Egypt to even America, when now Ittihad fencer is participating in the Olympics with the hijab, and that's what she wants. Then we have the other scenario, which is the country is an Islamic country, and they force hijab on their athletes. Meaning, for example, for countries such as Iran, which is kind of liberal countries, people. So they would not necessarily choose hijab, or they might, but that would be a personal choice. Mm-hmm. But the country, because of the constitution, no one without hijab can participate. So we have these two scenarios in Muslim world, and because of that, we have a majority of Muslim countries who wearing hijab is not part of their constitution, but is part of their culture. And then we have other countries that is part of their constitution that they have to wear hijab.
I think a question that many Olympics watchers have when they see athletes dressed in the hijab is, doesn't that make competing more difficult? So would you talk briefly about the realities of what it's like to participate wearing the hijab?
So we're talking about the most professional sport activity and games in the world. At that level, anything, any little things can impact the score and the record. Even if the fabric is lighter or heavier, what sort of fabric they use, and are they comfortable in it? Do they have enough room to breathe as the skin? So all of these are factors in the most professional scoring game. So one argues that, of course, this affects. But the other way that we need to look at it is for such countries such as Iran or any other countries that is mandatory and is part of their constitution, if we take the hijab and athletes who wear hijab out of the game, we're basically limiting a huge number of athletes who want to participate in it. So because of that, we cannot say, okay, if you're wearing hijab, you can't participate in the games, because that by itself would be discrimination. But then in the professional world, countries, I would say, it depends on each country to say, okay, should I put it open? Should I let the athletes choose or not? Which, to be honest, we're too far away from that part in the reality. You know, we have so many countries that won't even question that, regardless of how much they earn or how much they score.
I understand and appreciate what you've just said as the backdrop for understanding that kind of participation. But I want to come back and ask, is it your opinion, or what do you hear from female athletes who are participating? Is there a physical detriment in them wearing the hijab?
It depends very much to the game that they're playing. For example, Ibtihaj is a fencer. For her, it's not as important effect on her performance as compared, let's say, for example, for a swimmer or for a gymnast, you know, who's all these effects. For example, in the last Olympics, 2012 in London, we had a kayak rower from Iran who, with because of the humidity and the climate and the fabric that she was wearing for a long time outside playing and participating in the match, as a result, she had skin diseases grow. You know, so it really changes based on the sport, you know, which sports they participate. For some sports, it doesn't. For some sports, it's actually part against the law in the game. For example, karate, they can't wear hijab because they must have ear visible to the referee. So it really changes based on each sport.
I see. Your organization intrigues me. You work to specifically promote female Muslim sport around the world. How did you get involved in this?
So it's kind of based on the geography that I'm coming from. I'm originally from Iran, and I founded the first Iranian women's sports magazine under the same name, Shirzanan. And then I developed it later on to all Muslim females because of I saw so many similarity in terms of enthusiasm and the difficulties. So the challenges were very similar between the Muslim countries. So we decided to focus on Muslim female athletes from around the world because partially it's, you know, what the society says. The other is, if you're religious, what your religion says. So, you know, and the struggle that you would have as a young female who's enthusiastic into participating in a sport. So some would argue Muslim females are the most vulnerable among all female women in sports. But because, I should open a parenthesis here, I personally believe we don't have gender equality in a sport in anywhere, even in America. Take a look at the gap pay in the payment versus female athletes and the male athletes. Take a look at the media coverages between these two. So we don't have gender equality in women's sports anywhere, but among those, Muslim females are the most vulnerable because part is the society's pressure, and for some traditional society, they would see waste of time for a female to participate in professional sports. The other is, in some other situation, might see as a danger for the religion or the government and all that. Or even for some other countries, which are mostly first world countries, that they would be discriminated against by not being allowed to participate in a sport based on the way they want to.
Knowing those realities, what are the challenges in promoting this particular set of athletes and athletics?
I can talk about our experiences. The biggest challenge that we face is there is a very thin line, and we have to carefully walk on that, because on one hand, we don't want to be part of the discrimination against Muslim communities. But then on the other hand, we don't want to participate in the repress on the Muslim female, especially young girls. So the whole conversation regarding Muslim communities in European and Western world and countries right now, I would say the toughest part is on Muslims, on the actual Muslims, because they have to find the middle ground and understand and project both sides.
So how important is it to have such visibility for female Muslim athletes at the Summer Olympic Games?
Oh, I would say it's extremely important. The biggest part and the most obvious part is because each one of these female athletes participating in Olympic, they become a role model for the younger girls, for the young females. And in the lack of media coverage or media projection in conservative countries, it's extremely important for young girls to see someone, a female, at that level and just believe that, oh, it's possible. I can do that. I can be a professional athlete. So it's very important for a young girl to see it and believe that she can.
Do you have much contact with the female athletes that you promote and that you cover?
Yes, we do. And as a matter of fact, we have a good group of ambassadors that we call them our Shirzanan ambassadors. And they are superstars of different countries in female sports. We have the first Saudi Arabia climber. We have a Pakistani swimmer who's participating in Olympics. They are really superstars, and not only they represent Shirzanan, but also they get to know each other through Shirzanan and exchange experiences, the struggles, and get motivated by each other and continue to motivate younger generations.
So do you see in them a great enthusiasm, a great gratitude for the coverage of what they're doing and the promotion of it?
Yes, absolutely. And you actually can see from their social media activity as well. If anyone is interested, if they check shirzanan.org website, they can see our list of our ambassadors and their social media accounts, and you can see their activity and amount of followers that they have and the engagement that their followers have. they very much promote each other's work. And for example, Kiran Khan, Pakistani swimmer that I just mentioned, she has swimming schools that she teaches the younger females in Pakistan. And, when they see and learn from Kiran, of course they believe that they can participate at Olympic level if they want and if they work hard enough. And Kiran by itself has such an amazing story because in order to participate, in order to continue swimming, learning swimming and participate in it, she had to cut her hair short and pretend she's a boy in order to continue. Or, for example, for Saudi climber, it's fantastic what she says. She says, I wish to not be the first one. I wish there were someone else before me to do that. But now that she is starts, there won't be any more first, and they can be as normal and as professional.
So it's safe for me to say that what you're doing in covering these female athletes has a broader benefit that goes way beyond just what's happening on the field of competition to actually helping people of different cultures better understand each other.
Absolutely. It is such a vast ocean that it's really hard to summarize it now. But it's the way I look at it, it's a philosophy, and it's not just a website or an organization. It's a philosophy that can improve lives and societies, as a matter of fact, because it's part of entertainment, it's part of competition. It can go beyond one person or one family and have a deeper and broader impact.
Solmaz, would you tell us just a little bit about the vision of Shirzanan and where you're focusing your efforts, and particularly how listeners to our program can find out more information if they'd like to get involved?
Sure, and I appreciate that. So our website is www.shirzanan.org, Shirzanan. And Shirzanan is the Persian word meaning lionesses or female heroes. And the reason I chose this name is because it's just, I saw it firsthand that female athletes, they basically further complicated their lives by choosing to participate in a sport, because a sport is it's just part of entertainment, but it's so professional that could be a force of economic improvement and effects in broader politics. So it's one, participating in and doing exercises, but the other part is to decide to be a professional sports person in either athlete, referee, business person. So the reason I chose this name was because of that, and they truly represent as heroes to me to choose to do that.
Solmaz Sharif is co-founder of Shirzanan, and remember, the Persian word for female heroes it is, and a media and advocacy platform for and about Muslim women in sport. A writer, journalist, broadcaster, Solmaz has worked on CNN, the BBC, and the Voice of America. Solmaz, I hope that you're having some fun as well as meeting all of these challenges, because this is a subject that is timely and important, and we really appreciate you telling us about it and being on State of Belief Radio to inform us more about what the good work you're doing.
Thank you very much. It's actually very exciting to encounter with each of these ambassadors and athletes, because their enthusiasm just excites me.